Hello and welcome to the Toon Terraces, and this is a special podcast. It's the end of season awards. Others might have done it, but we like to be fashionably late. And because there's that much to choose from, it took us so long just to make our mind up. We're joined by Max and Duncan, so we've got only one Geordie on here.
Well, come on, man.
And fine then, a Geordie, an adopted Geordie, and then a Cockney.
An Essex wank. I don't know if we can swear, can we?
You're already halfway there, so it doesn't matter, does it?
It's all Newcastle love. Let's not discriminate up against geographical locations.
Here.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get I would say probably the negative of the awards out of the way. And we're going to go with the flop of the season. Now, I'm going to start with...
there one?
Well, I think there was. Don't necessarily agree with yours, but, we'll come on to that. But I'm going to start with mine. And mine is Chris Wood.
Oh, Christ. Yeah, good shout. Didn't even think of that. Of that.
He didn't really get that much of a look in. Obviously, the time came that... Yeah. The fact that we ended up selling him and he's still not getting into us. I think he got injured when he went to Forest and that. It's just, for me, it was just one of those ones where you're like, he's got to be up there. So Chris Wood, for me, is the one that's up there. I'm going to leave Max's to last because, it's quite an obvious one. I'm just going to go to you and just say to Duncan, explain this one.
So, I think in the survey that you sent out, I said I didn't think there was one, at a push, Carrius. And the area is I know you think differently. I think he could have done a bit better in that cup final, if I'm honest. That's the only reason. So I didn't think there was.
Didn't he keep us at just two though for quite a few times?
I think he could have saved that Casemiro header. I do think he could have. I think if that was Dubravka or Nick Pope, I think that was getting saved. No issue with him. No, you can only play the players you got, and you can only stop the shots that are in front of you. But like I said in my thing, I don't think there was one, but if I had to choose one, that was the most disappointing moment of my season. Like letting that goal in when, he was that far away from it. It made such a difference. It would have been ideal. I could have said Nick Pope, because if he'd have not been such a moron with Mo Salah, he'd have been in goal and he would have saved it anyway and might have won the cup. So it's either Karius or Nick Pope. There you go. There's my vote.
And we'll go to Max's option there, which we might just need to just show the graphic because it probably explains it. But
who's that?
Yeah, that's why I choose him. It was so weird because at the start of the season he was seen as quite a good backup winger and someone we could potentially rely on, and was hoping to have a good first something season under Howe, and to maybe evolve again and become the player we thought we bought. But he just went off the rails completely, and he wasn't even on the match day program where everyone's face was on it, and he hasn't been involved since December or something. I think he played like one game, maybe two, this whole season, and for me that's a big negative, and I hope we see him leave this summer.
Well, now we know the three options we're going to go through. So, Max, do you want to stay with yours, or do you want to go with one of the other two that's being put in?
I think I'm going to stay with mine, to be honest.
Duncan?
Well, now that you pulled Woody out of the bag, I think I've got to say Woody, because he was really disappointing, wasn't he? Well, mine's just personal on one game. Which none of you agree with. So I think I've got to go Woody.
although it was a nomination for me, I think I have to go with the person who has had probably the greatest fall from grace, and that's why the winner is.
Oh,
I just
Ryan Chris.
it's the fact that even Chris Wood made it onto the I believe he made it onto the front cover of the final match program of the season. So, but the fact is, Ryan Fraser didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
On that one, you're looking at and you're probably going, the decision's probably made for me, and that's why. The fact that he's been frozen out, as well, Chris Wood was sold because he wanted to get more football time there. It wasn't necessarily a decision that Eddie wanted to go through with that series, but for that reason, that's just why we're going to go for that one, because I just think
Fair.
It's done there. We're going to go for positive points now, and we're going to. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave the player of the season just for now, and we're going to go through other options. I've had both your options in there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, for surprise of the season, Mr. Max went for Sean Longstaff, which is a really good shout, to be fair. It's an option that you look at it and you would see. I know, Duncan, you went with this one, but I understand the reason why you went with this one is just because of the amount of goals that you finished on.
I went for 2.
Yeah, that one for me is just the one where you look at and you go, do you know what? You can understand it. Yeah. For me, I went with the one that I think is probably the biggest surprise of all this season for me, and that's the subtle man.
Mickey,
how
Mickey,
he came.
run.
Well, exactly, but how he started the season, and the fact that even after he went off the boil in the second half of the season, he still ended up as our second highest goal scorer,
top scorer. Yeah, and some great goals as well.
Exactly, yeah, and we've seen that all along. But you just look at that and you just think, to be honest, I think it's probably those three that you'd probably go up there and see it as a surprise after the season, because there's not really any others that I can look at and go, that surprised me. Do you want to stick with your choice, Max, or do you want to?
The reason I chose Longstaff was just because I thought this was going to be his last season here, and after this season I can't see him anything else but staying here. So it was just the fact that he improved so much during this year. I mean, you could see bits of it at the back end of last season, but I think during this whole season, and especially when he was out injured this last few months or weeks, it was very weird to say that we missed him, and you wouldn't think you'd say that a year ago. So that was why I thought it was the biggest surprise. But I think I have to agree with you about choosing Miguel Almiron, because I just completely forgot his it was so long ago, the autumn form of him with all the magical goals he scored. And I mean, you didn't think he had it in him because he's only scored 2-3 goals before, and then he went on a crazy scoring run. And so I'm gonna change my answer and agree with you, Mark. Miguel Almiron is the biggest surprise for me.
Duncan,
I wouldn't say not agreeing with you. No. I think I'd agree with you. I think I'd go Miggy as well, because everyone, when at the start of the season, when St. Maximin was playing out of his skin, we had Wilson up front, and that right side was considered weak. And he's completely come in and owned that. Completely come in and owned that. So Wilson getting 18 goals, yes, it's a bit of a surprise if you look at up until the World Cup, but after the World Cup, he absolutely took off. Is it a surprise? Probably not. So, yeah, you get my vote, Mark. I would say Miguel Almiron.
No point me seeing whether or not I agree with my own decision or not, but here it is. Surprise of the
It's a
season
lovely
winner
shirt he's got on.
is Mr. Miguel Almiron. And it's one of those ones where you've got to look at it and go, yeah, do you know what? It probably is well deserved. Yeah, in that sense.
Yeah.
To be honest, the next one, which is moment of the season, I think was unanimous across all of it. Now I'm going to bump it in together because everything links in there. But this was the moment of the season for across the board for everyone.
Are you talking about the background picture?
Now, well, that gives a hint to it. But yeah, the moment of the season was seeing Newcastle United get to their first cup finals. Yeah, for well over 20 odd years, and then it was just unreal. One, to be honest, the journey to the cup final was amazing. But I think just to be there, like I said, Max, I know you especially put down Trafalgar Square because you didn't have your chance to go there, go to the stadium there. So we'll start with you. Yeah, what was it that stood out for Trafalgar Square?
No, it was just it was my first time in London, so I sort of had a thing. I expected it to be something different, and when you get there and you're met by this square full of Geordies just standing and sitting. The first step of the bus we took, and I just hear this noise in the distance of me ma, and I was like, what is going on? And also I had to put this also in it because the day after, on the day of the final, because wasn't at the game, just walking around in London was so weird because you could just see black and white everywhere. It was absolutely astonishing, and I had to call my parents, be like, I don't think I'm in London. I think I'm in Newcastle. I'm not sure what's going on here. Are the Londoners here? They're just Geordies everywhere, and the whole experience was so surreal, and I'll cherish it for the rest of my life, and especially the Trafalgar Square. You're standing in a square. It was fucking cold also, and just singing your heart out.
Wasn't too bad, to be fair.
I thought it was a bit cold, but anyways, just standing there, just singing for like 3 hours was very special, very special.
It is probably agreeable as well. Duncan's probably the one who had the least journey. He only had to travel a few miles, and that was him. Yeah,
you were with me.
Yeah, no, but I still had to travel down from Newcastle. Though I travelled from Newcastle down to London.
Yeah.
I actually went on the Friday purely because I left it late. I didn't gamble, because I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to jinx us. So it was the case of as soon as I'd heard that the Southampton game was finished, I knew we were going. I was looking for tickets and I was trying to get that sorted. Yeah, there was no chance of me going down on the Saturday because all the tickets were done, so I had to go down on the Friday. But you were still seeing all those people. It was probably a little more quiet, so I'm thankful for that one. But Saturday was constant. It was just like a Geordie Armada. It was just like train after train after train after train after train, just full of black and white.
Oh, Mark.
Yeah, are you still there? Yeah.
Geordie Armada.
Yeah, so no, it was just unreal, and I agree with Matt. Yeah, I think the first time I seen a red and white top was on the tube where I seen a couple. Yeah, as we were heading to Wembley, and then the rest was probably when I seen when we were in the seats in Wembley. Yeah, it was just amazing. I think we got there. What was it, about 5 hours before kickoff? And everywhere
we got
was
there
around.
dead early. Yeah,
and there was still their queues. We
had
on
the south side of the stadium was the Newcastle half, and it was every bar, every restaurant, coffee shop was just swamped in black and white, and then the north side was Man United. No one there.
And you just had to travel from a few miles down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I think we've all voted the same. For me, I think you remember, Mark, I was on holiday at the time, and the queue for the tickets, like we were on the phone at the time. I think we were like 5,000 in the queue.
Yeah, because obviously we were doing it together. We were getting them together, so we were like, right, we'll sit in the queue together and that. And I'm like, oh, I'm this number in the queue. You're like, oh, I'm this number in the queue. And then I'm like, oh, Christ, it's frozen. I'm doing them. Then you were like, I've got them. I'm like, right, I'm fine. I went, I don't care where we're sitting. I don't get what. I just, got the tickets, and that was.
I've got this picture as well. This was at like 2:00 in the afternoon. So I stayed in the chalet and did that all morning. And that was about 2:00 in the afternoon. Went up with my Newcastle shirt and scarf, and then got these two Spanish guys to take a picture of me with that. So, and then when we got the tickets confirmed, pretty special. Like, not
it was, because then that was
on TV.
But it was like, right, that's it. It's happening. We've got the ticket.
Yeah,
it's real.
Yeah.
And then when you got the ticket and you sent us the picture, I'm like, right, yeah, no, this is real. You can see that in there. For me, and I am still going to see it.
Tickets.
Exactly. Just going back to this, and this is but this was the moment at the end of the game when we were 2-0 down, and the Geordie started doing this and that for me is something that was special for me, because I'm like, this just shows what this football club means to these fans. We're 2-0 down. Yeah, we're not going to win the cup, but these fans have absolutely loved it, and they're showing the support to the lads, because they've actually managed to do something which I didn't think we would probably do for quite a few years, and that was getting to a cup final. And it's like, if that's the scenes of when we're losing the cup final, Christ knows what the scenes are going to be like when we actually win it. A one, so no, that was just there for me. It's the moment. Like I said, there's so many moments. Beating Spurs. That can go like the game of the season. Do you remember the Southampton game? When we got the semi-final, that was special to be at. The Brighton game, where I think most of us realised, we're probably going to make it to the Champions League. That night was a special night as well.
Yeah, that was a close second for me.
Yeah, exactly. Even the Leicester City 0-0, because we knew what was happening at the end of it. Yeah, there's just so many things in that, and it's how dare Eddie Howe give us so many choices on this one?
I know, yeah. So also, this is surprise of the season, right? Or is
no, this is the moment of the season. Sorry. The surprise of the season was Mickey.
My apologies. Yeah. Apologies. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're unanimous. I think seeing Newcastle walk out in the cup final is like, I know we lost, but I honestly couldn't give two shits that we lost. It was
I've said that. I've said, look, Eve, I've been consistent when I've said this. If someone says, look, the same thing will happen next season, would you do it? Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, even if it means that I know that we're going to lose, I'd still want to do it again, just because of the fact of it's everything. It was like the build up, like I said, meeting like Max and the rest of the gang on the Saturday before that. Obviously, I was with you, Duncan, on the Sunday for that.
Yeah.
Suffering on the Monday. Well, not as good as a Geordie curry, but it's still decent. Yeah.
Different.
We've got a few things to teach the Londoners, and obviously Monday was the suffering one, where I think there's probably quite a few people suffering in that, whether or not it's from hangovers or aching bodies or whatever. But it was just, I said, just amazing. But we'll move on from that. We're going to go now to goal of the season, and we're going to do it in the date order of when these happened in the nominations. The first nomination.
Well, that's me, isn't it?
Was his first goal against Fulham, and
the one on the half volley, yeah.
Yeah, to be fair,
Yeah.
it's right up there. Yeah, in terms of the choice there, because it was absolutely stunning. I said, yeah, you're watching it and you're just going, did he mean that? Yeah, it was just unreal in that. And I think I rewound it like umpteen times just to watch it over and over and over and over again. It was just spectacular from that. My choice, to which I've done, which is the first goal that he scored in this game, was Alexander Isak against Spurs.
Right.
For me, it was just the pass from Joe Willock was exquisite, and probably for me, the pass of the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we may have like ones where you go but no, for pass of the season, that was just unreal. Yeah. Whether or not I was giddy because we're 3-0 up already at that point, I don't know, but I just thought it was a really good goal. Yeah, so that had to be up there for me as one. There's loads of choices, but this was just the one that for me where I'm sticking out there. And it's an obvious but strange choice for you, Max, but I know the reason why.
Yeah, I mean, it's not so much the credit to Jacob Murphy. It's more what happened before he put the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, it was for you. You went for assist of the season more than goal of the season. Shall we just put it that way there? To be fair,
to put it,
it was probably assist of the season. What Isak done was just unreal, and you're just going, wow.
No, I can. The reason why I picked it was because I've never felt like I've watched like his poetry in motion. So I mean, I've watched Messi, and you've seen those kind of runs before, but I actually saw it live, and he's from Sweden, and he seemed like completely fooling the half of Everton backline. I mean, I just stood up clapping. I was amazed. I was shocked. I was in awe of him. I was just, wow, this is our player. He's playing for us. He's from Sweden. He's from the same city as I'm. And it was a quite incredible moment, and that's why I put it for my goal of the season. I mean, I really like Almiron's goal, and I love his goal against Spurs. I think that's a really good shout also. But for me, that's just the way he did that. That's just pure skill, and there's nothing you can take away from that.
Like I said, the role and there's so many answers. Yeah, if we're going to look at the goals, you can look at Callum Wilson's in the Everton game. Yeah, that was a great finish. If we look at Fabian Shaw against
West Ham.
Yeah,
that was good. That was cheeky, but that was good. Even if we look at because we'll look at Fabian Shaw's against Nottingham Forest way back at the beginning of the season.
Absolute bullet.
I'd still Kieran Trippier's free kick against Man City.
Oh, that was a close second for me.
That's what I'm saying. Like you're up there. You're then looking at me, and I'm going to say Miggy Almiron against Aston Villa at home. Yeah, when he made it 4. Just that that finish on there. There's
I got confused. I nearly said Bruno against Leicester, but that was last season, wasn't it? No, down in the corner flag.
That was
cross in. Bruno, 94th minute, and the commentator's like, Bruno.
Yeah,
that was last season.
No, I remember that one. That again, great ones and that.
I had to do a double take on it just to make sure it wasn't this season.
And to be fair, even Joe Will against Chelsea. Yeah, that was a good finish.
Yes.
I didn't get a good view on that one, but after it was really good.
Yeah,
the celebration was class as well.
Yeah, and Callum Wilson against Brighton. Yeah, when Miggy skinned Caicedo and just because for me it was just the skin of that, and then it was the perfect pass in the run too, and I'm just like, and
I think the celebration as well
on commentary when it went to the back of the net, he went, never in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because we scored a lot more goals than last season and the season before that. We have so many contenders. I mean, Miggy has like 5 on his own. Wilson has like 3. Isak has 5.
Yeah,
St.
to be
Maximin's
fair,
full volley.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
we haven't even mentioned that one.
yeah, Maxi against Wolves and that. Yeah, you look at that.
It was off his shin, though. It was off his shin.
Yeah, it's
like,
not.
let's just
I
clear
don't
that up.
care. I'm gonna say that, but yeah, you could always put Isak's first against Nottingham Forest away. Yeah, the equaliser.
Oh yeah, the volley.
Because that one was like a tricky finish in that, but he put that in there. And I'm gonna just put this up there. Joe Linton, either the Joe of the West, either the West Ham Joe Linton one or the Spurs one, with the pass from Shaw and his run on there. Yeah, there's just so many off. Yeah,
the Callum Wilson goal at West Ham with the Macarena celebration.
Oh yeah, the header.
Well, that might have been celebration, but I don't necessarily think it was up there in terms of
it was a crap goal, but the celebration was great because all the West Ham fans were like, "Why has he got to do that? Why has he got to get in front of us and start celebrating?"
We should have just picked Dan Burn.
Christ, that's another great. When he hooked it with his right foot and then slid into the corner where his family is celebrating in the Gallagate. I mean, Christ, there's like 10.
Isak's goals against Brentford also. The
equalizer.
it
wasn't. It was the second.
Yeah. Wilson just put it right in the top corner like it was nothing.
That's the thing. Do you know what?
What?
Wasn't it the club put the video up of every single goal we scored? And I'm just like, yeah, I'm watching this.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. I need to do it.
I'm watching it again because it's just honestly, it's unreal.
That was a tough one. I think that's just a personal choice for you. What you like most?
Which of the three are we going to go with then?
I think for me just everything about it, the pass, the finish, and then it's gonna be Isak against Spurs because the pass from Willock and also Isak taking it the first touch and running along with it, and the finish also from his top class because that's bottom corner in high speed. So that's you don't forget that also. So I'm gonna have to agree with you again, Mark, on that one.
I'm gonna get a complexion here. Does everyone agree with? Duncan, I know you probably won't agree with this. So what's yours?
So what are we saying? So Almiron's full volley.
Full volley against against Fulham. Isak's first goal against Spurs, and Murphy's
tapping.
Murphy's tapping, but the Alex Isak assist and take on of
so it's not technically a goal, so I can't do Murphy. And the Spurs game was a slight disposition. I should have been there, but I wasn't. But if I was there, and all that happened, I probably would go for the Spurs game and the goal. What was it? The second, third goal? I can't even.
It was his second or fourth.
I hadn't even parked the car up, and I got in the house, opened up my MacBook, and it was like 4-0 after 8 minutes. Now,
saying that though, we probably could have had a goal of the season competition just in that game. Yeah, Joe Linton's, Jacob Murphy's.
Oh yeah, that was a strike.
Yeah, and then obviously that.
You know what's coming in terms of voting in terms of greatest game. So I'll say the Spurs.
The game we're going to do that, but what? So for goal of the season, you narrowed it down. It's either Isak or Almiron. So you go. I'll
go Almiron. Yeah, I'll agree with the majority.
So you're going Almiron or Isak because you just said both there.
No, I'm going Isak against Spurs.
Do you know what? I picked this one because of the fact that you'd picked the Miggy one. I would have picked the Miggy one purely because I just think the play, the pass from Bruno and the finish was just
the fact that he hits it on the full volley, like doesn't touch the ground. It just comes over his shoulder and he fucking smashes it.
Yeah, but I'm going to say because of the importance of the time that we played Spurs, and like I said, just for that pass alone, and then the takedown from we've got it. It's complete.
I'll hand it.
The
yeah.
winner, it's Alex Isak v Spurs, and well, yeah, Mickey's went in. He's come in a very close. Yeah, do you know what? In fact, I'll tell you what. How about we do this? And I'm going to do this. Yeah, we'll break the rules. We're going to have a joint goal of the season,
Brilliant.
and I'm going to do a joint with Mickey Armour on because to be honest, I can't. I honestly can't split those two. I can't have Mickey not winning the award for that goal. The same thing, I can't have Isak on that one. So we'll go from that one.
I'm at a slight disadvantage with that whole game and situation. So
well, Max technically wasn't there. He was in Sweden, and like I said, we're 3-0 up when you came in when you turned the TV on. Yeah, so God help anyone who turned up late for that game against Spurs, Craig.
Yeah, if you're 10, 12 minutes late.
If you were 20 minutes late,
you hear that?
You were... turn that off because we're not.
Oh yeah.
Copyright for the music. Yeah, we need to remember.
That was not Casey and the Sunshine Band. Give it up. Absolutely not. That's my own version. I just keyed it out.
Now, come on. This is the one that we need to be looking at. I haven't done a graphic grid because, quite frankly, there's probably so many games that you could look at and it's game of the season.
Is this game of the season? So I've done home and away. Is that allowed?
If you want.
Yeah,
do you know what? I'll tell you what. Let's do with that. We'll do that. We'll do the home game of the season and the away game of the season. Because it'll make it. It'll help.
I did not.
I know.
I was not prepared for that. I need to check for the season.
I know what my away game of the season is, and I don't need to check.
Well, shall I start and I can talk about it for a bit as well whilst Max goes through the away games.
Well, I'll start with the away game for me, and that is Tottenham Hotspur away.
I was there.
Yeah, I know, but just for me, because at that time Spurs were on a hot run of form, and they'd won so many games at home, and we just turned up there, and that was the other thing, because the first probably 5 or 10 minutes we didn't look comfortable. With Spurs. Spurs looked as if they were gonna, really, really hammer us, but we turned it around. We grouped together, we got together, and the fact that it was absolutely pissing down. Yeah, it is another thing. Yeah, it was a typical sort of like English Premier League game. Yeah, it's chucking down with rain and that. It was a Sunday evening. Yeah, it was pitch black. But for me, that was right up there for me. Yeah, it was unreal. And I don't think I have probably felt as nervous, but the nerves in that game, when you're watching it, and that was it for me, because that also kickstarted for me our run of where we ended up in finishing, which was obviously 4th. So for me, that stood out for me for a mile as the away day of the season. It was just absolutely unreal, and I just wish I could have been there. So we'll go with your away. We'll do the away days first, and then we'll go with the home ones, because I'm still thinking of the home ones. So we'll go with your away day, Duncan.
For me, it was West Ham. Only because it was the only away game where I was sat with Newcastle fans. So Spurs, Arsenal, all the rest, I was sat with the home fans because of ticketing issues. So for me, sitting in the Newcastle fans at West Ham, met up with a couple of friends that, Paul and people like from the group, and the scoreline was great. And I can almost see West Ham from my living room window as well. So it was a really good game to go to.
So what you're saying is you had a better, you've got a better view there than you did when you were in the stadium.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. But it was a good game to go to. It was a good, a lot of my friends are West Ham fans, and to be in the away end, that's the only away end game that I had last year. That's how hard it is to get tickets. So
Well,
for me,
Wembley, to an extent, but that's neutral. But it was similar.
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and it was nice. Like, you didn't have to stay in the sea. I mixed. I went and saw Paul. I went and saw other people that I knew, just moving around, and it was really good. And there was no ag, and it was just a really enjoyable away game. Yeah.
Max, have you had time to decide for yours?
Yeah, to refresh my mind a bit, but once I looked through it, there was one who stood out for me, and that was the Nottingham Forest away game when Alexander Isak scored a brace, and I feel just.
Are we sensing a theme here with these
No,
choices?
I don't know what you're talking about. It was purely because it was a very difficult away game. Forest were fighting for their life, and they had a really good home record, and it was a tough game. I remember that we scored on the brink of halftime. Isak with the brilliant volley you mentioned before, and then when we had the Elliot Anderson first goal that never was because it was ruled out for some rubbish offside. I still don't really understand what they thought was offside, but yeah, and then you felt after that I was just angry, and I kept being angry for 20 minutes, and then Isak gets the penalty and he scores it, put it in the top right corner and celebrate with the away fans. And for me, that was a very special moment. So I had to go with that game.
So we've got a 3-way tie. Who's going to blink first?
I think this is too personal to be.
Yeah, I was going to say there is no hard and fast rule on this one, is there?
I'm going to stick with mine.
What was yours, Max?
The Nottingham Forest away game. Isak scoring a brace.
Mark?
Spurs.
I'm going to go Spurs because I was there.
Well,
Hey, win again. Honestly, though, for me, it was probably one of the games of the season for me. Just the performance, and like I said, the fact that you were going up and you were at Spurs when they were probably at their highest, and we were taking on the likes of Kane and Son and stuff like that, and we were better than them. And it was just the fact that we scored that goal from Callum Wilson when Hugo Lloris was huffing because he thought he was fouled, but he wasn't.
that's such a funny goal.
But then Mickey, Mickey scoring the second and that, and I was just like, oh yeah,
it was
for me, yeah. Home game of the season, Christ.
There've been many good ones.
This one is going to be tough for me because you look at that and you're going, Man City at home, Brentford at home, Villa at home, Chelsea at home. You then look at the Leicester and the Southampton Carabao Cup games. Even, and I'm going to say this, but Man U at home.
A bit of revenge, a bit of redemption.
Yeah, and again, Brighton. Yeah. Also, there's so many options. Yeah.
For you, you've been to every game almost at home games. So I can imagine.
Well, almost. I have been to every home game.
Oh yeah, see, even that.
I'll throw my vote in straight away. So it was Man United at home because I was there after the cup final. I would have voted for the Spurs game if I was there on a Sunday. But I couldn't be there. I was meant to be there, but I couldn't be there. But if I was there, then that would have been my home game of the season. But because I couldn't be there, I would say the Man United game. It's the most vocal, involved game I've ever been involved in St James's Park, purely because of the result in the cup final. That's the only reason.
Oh yeah, well the atmosphere in that, and I think that was a 2. If my memory serves me correct, I think was it a 2:00 kickoff against Man U. I don't think it was the late one.
No, I know it was a late one.
So it was a late one, but it's still for a Sunday games. They're not normally the most raucous of ones, but the atmosphere was like right up there. If we were going the first 21 minutes, then I probably would have chose the Spurs one. But it's the fact that when you went 5-0 up after 21 minutes, the game was relatively boring after that point, because you're 5-0 up, the game's won. So it's just like, we'll just go through the motions now. With the Man U game, it was because we didn't score until late on both for both the goals.
Just the energy and the crowd was just electric.
Yeah, and that
really powerful, really powerful.
But it is that, like I said, but yeah, for me, Man City, that for me probably got to be up there as one of the most entertaining games. And just to, in terms of that, to be 3-3, and then I honestly, I left that ground so annoyed that we didn't win that game. And I'm like, slap yourself, man. Yeah, this is a Manchester City team that's won the league, and they're probably going to win the league game, which they did, end up on. So yeah, it was a heck of a performance, but yeah, there's just so many to choose from. And I'll let Max go because it's probably going to be easier for him, and then I can hopefully narrow it down.
I know I said to you on WhatsApp the Spurs game, but I've changed my mind since, because I thought I need to choose a game where I was actually at, and between those, I'd probably between Chelsea and Brighton home. Chelsea game was special because it was before the World Cup, and in the manner that we won the game, we completely dominated, and we looked like a top 6 side, and they looked like a mid-table side. And but taking that into factor, I think the Brighton game has to be it for me. Just winning. I mean, I remember that final 2 goals was just amazing to see Bruno. I mean, pulling out all the celebrations he had in the book, and
Bruno's greatest hits of celebrations.
Yeah, and just being there in the Gallagher end was very special. And I had to say Brighton because it basically secured Champions League for us also. And I think if you compare the Brighton side we faced against the Chelsea side we faced, it was probably more impressive dominating and defeating Brighton 4-1 than it was defeating Chelsea 1-0. So I'm gonna have to go with the Brighton game. That was special for me.
And no surprise, but there was a certain Swedish striker that started that game.
Yeah, but he didn't score though. He didn't score, which I'm annoyed at. So I have to come back next season and try to sort that out.
Do you know? And I'm gonna, because of how I felt, honestly, in terms of after the game, I am going to go for the Brighton one. Just because I was so... In fact, I think I was probably more nervous in the Brighton one than I was in the Man U game. And that's, honestly, I was that nervous going into it, to the fact that it was there. And I also think, and just to go in there, that was probably the best half of football I've seen us play for a long time in that Brighton game, because we were just unreal. The football we were playing, the style. It was,
I think it was like the best we can ever be in that season.
Yeah,
that was like the highest performance.
We'd scored from a corner. Well, although it was an own goal, we scored from a corner. Yeah, Chris Wood scored via a header from a set piece. Yeah, in the free kick, to make it 2-0. Yeah, before half time. Yes, obviously it got a little bit nervy when Brighton scored again, and that again gets the nerves up there. But for me, that was because that was when I thought, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to be in the Champions League. That was the time where I was confident on that.
I agree.
And it was just so much fun. And to be fair, and I'm going to say that was the game that took it out of it more than the Man U game, because I remember you were over and I was like, look, do I need to like be your tour guide for Friday? And you were like, no, it's fine. I'm just like, thank you. And I'm back to bed, because it honestly, it wiped me out. That's how draining that game was there. So for me, away game of the season is Spurs, home game of the season, Brighton. And I'm going to agree with your point on the fact of the style of play that Brighton do, and the fact that the form that they were on. And again, well done to Brighton for getting Europa League football. They genuinely deserve it. It's nice to see a club that plays nice football. Like, I think Eddie Howe tries to get us playing, being rewarded from that sense. I'll not praise Aston Villa just because it's Aston Villa. We're now going to go to the final award, and it's the one where there isn't any Swedish involvement, so we're fine.
It's just because he was injured half the season. If he hadn't, he'd be easily.
Now I'm going to go for my option, and then we'll go for yours. So my option, and it's in there, but
Oh God,
Sven Botman.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, he has been. He took a few games to get into the side, but once he was in there, he's made that position his own. Some of the football that you see him playing, you watch him and you just see how much it is he is when he's on the ball. It's yeah. I don't think we would have finished the season with the least number of defeats and the joint least goals conceded if it wasn't for Sven Botman in our back line.
Yeah.
I just think he phenomenal. And the fact that he's come in, he's a very young lad, and this is what, probably got the excitement up for me as well. And you go, look, he's so young, he's only going to get better.
Agreed.
And if that's the case, and everyone, when we're looking at saying he could be our Vincent Company, I genuinely believe that now. I think he could be that pivotal. He is just unreal, and as a footballer, you just watch him, and you sometimes do, and I know you can be live at a game, but you'll sometimes focus on the player. I know I remember doing it with Joe Linton in the Man U game when we drew 1-1, but we should have won, and that for me, was when Joe Linton was put on the map for me, because funny enough, it was a game where Sky said, I didn't realise you were that good. I sort of agree with that point, because I looked at that and I went, it's like, oh my God, he is a monster. He was, honestly, he was fierce in that. And that's the same way, like when you've watched, Botman in that sense. So that's my pick for that. I can't remember who. In fact, no, I do remember who it was. Who chose it? Was you, Duncan?
Yeah. See, I think every player is player of the season. If I'm honest, I think manager of the season. Every player was player of the season that started most games. Or came on, but you know, it's an obvious choice. But my Christ, that man in the middle of the field. Is it any wonder they've offered him 200 grand a week to keep him? Barcelona, Real Madrid, they all wanted him. They've offered him 200 grand a week on a 5-year contract to keep him. He is Mr. Newcastle. Like, he's solid. So I could have chose Nick Pope, Sven Botman, Joe Linton, but for me, there's only one. You know, without him, we wouldn't have got Champions League.
And we'll go for Mr. Max's choice, which again is right up there, because he's Mr. Captain. So honestly, I can understand why you've made that choice, because I think as soon as he came in, we all knew he was going to be a captain. He was just the leader of the side, and that. So why? What was it that made him your player of the season?
Yeah, I mean, the captain part is a big factor. I mean, he's the group's leader, and look how good, well the group have done this season. And also, I think he's so important to the way we play, and I mean, we can see it on all the the heat maps and the touches and the big chances created. Everything comes from his side and from his foot. And I think he also improves his players around him. I think Sean Longstaff and Miguel Almiron has benefited a lot from playing with him and having him as a backup and support. And I mean, even Jacob Murphy looked very well when playing. And who did he have behind him was Kieran Trippier. And for me, he's just
Mickey.
Yeah, and he played all season and every game, and I mean, he had a bit of a form dip when the whole team had, and there was nothing weird about that. And for me, he's just like Eddie Howe, but as a player on the pitch. I think it's the solid choice.
Now, yes, the question: are you all going to stick with your decision of
I think we're going to have to carve the award up into 3 by the sounds of it, because I ain't budging.
I can budge if we have to.
I'll tell you
I think
what.
if you look at the Opta index and you look at the stats, I think we lost
the stats.
more points and games without Bruno. Fantasy football stats. We lost more points and games without Bruno than
I'll
we
tell you what,
won more points and games with Bruno.
Because we can't afford much here at the Toon Terraces, and because we do have
But we
to
sending
send
him like an Amazon voucher or something.
And because we do have to send our congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Guimaraes.
Yeah.
Our wedding present to you, Bruno, is player of the season.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Bruno.
And it's to be fair, I don't think there's a bad option amongst them in that sense. They've been phenomenal. But there we go. So they've done it. So flop of the season, Chris Wood. No, Ryan Fraser, I'd put it. So flop of the season, Ryan Fraser. Surprise of the season, Miggy.
Mm-hmm.
Moment of the season, the whole Wembley experience.
Yeah.
Goal of the season was a joint one, Alex Isak and Miguel Almiron. Game of the season, every single one.
Yeah,
the
whole just do that.
Fair.
And obviously the biggest one, which is the player of the season, which has to be Monsieur Guimaraes.
Bruno.
It is, and to be honest, it's so well deserved, but from all of them, like I said, how tough it is for you to pick options, when you're going. Oh,
you can't. There was no flop. There was no bad game.
There was a flop.
The game that we lost. Well, Liverpool was a bad game, but
both of them
unjustifiably.
I would say the Liverpool at home was probably a bad game because we probably didn't deserve to win that. The Liverpool away was
with the 99,000
was daylight robbery.
Year, yeah. So that's why I've got 2 or 3 of these shirts, because it is the most monumental season ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Never ever forget it, ever. So we all need to do a Toon Terraces signing session on these shirts. Stick it in a frame and remember this forever.
My autograph costs. What we'll do is we're going to wrap it up there because we've been going quite a while. But we had quite a lot of awards to give out. But that's it. That's it done. The award season's over. As with any good award, we're now off to the after party. Woo! So thank you. Goodbye. Season 2022-2023. And let's look forward to season 2023-2024, where the Magpies are back in Europe. Thank you and good night.